Okay, so this topic actually is very interesting, especially for those who are eyeing for publications. As a research author, no, I am also always looking forward to publish my research. It's just not only looking for a presentation, but even for publication at the same time. So this topic actually might discuss what are the essential ingredients for a publishable research article. And most academics know that their classroom essay or conference paper is not yet publishable, but they are not entirely sure why. So again, some common myths about what makes an article publishable and then turn to what, in fact, does make an acceptable to a journal. Okay, maybe somebody, especially the researcher, saying that only articles that are profoundly theoretical and or have groundbreaking findings get published, or only articles with lots of interesting ideas get published, or only articles that are entirely original get published. So what gets published and why? A publishable journal article is a piece of writing organized around the important new idea that is demonstrably related to the scholarly previously published. So in other words, research articles get published because they say something new about something old. So if your idea is interesting but not new, your article won't be published. If your idea is new but not related to the old, your article won't be published. If your ideas are multiple but not organized around one new idea, your article won't be published. So, of course, we need to take note that in contrast to the original, no, the strict meaning of new is not the first or previously non-existing, but something that has been seen, used, or known for only a short time. So, for instance, if you write an article about, for example, Philippine women's reproductive strategies, some of which have existed for centuries. And your information will not be original, but knowledge of it may be new to the field of medical anthropology. So bringing attention to something can be sufficiently original to get an article published. Something new can also be a variation. Okay, so to give us more details about the topic, let us all welcome our presenter.
Meron na po. Okay po.
Okay, go ahead.
Good day everyone, I'm Isa M. De La Cruz will present to you one of the research writing format, Publishable Research Report. For us to understand better the topic, let us define first what is a research. Research. It is a combination of the prefix re, which means again, and the verb search, which means to look for. Coined together, it simply means to look for again. It is different from other standard essays because it draws heavily on materials gathered through research. Another definition is that it comes from your own thoughts based on your thorough analysis of what you previously knew and what you managed to search about your topic. It is also known as a systematic investigation into and study of materials and sources in order to establish facts and reach new conclusions, as it is defined by Google. Merriam-Webster described research as a studious inquiry or investigation aimed at the discovery and interpretation of facts, revision of accepted theories in light of new facts, or practical application of such new or revised theories. These are the three purposes of research. Social research can serve a variety of purposes. Three of the most influential and common purposes of research are exploration, description, and explanation. Exploration. It involves familiarizing a researcher with a topic. It also satisfies the researcher's desire for improved understanding. It tests the feasibility of undertaking a more extensive study. It also helps develop the methods that will used in a study. Next, description. It involves describing situations and events through scientific observation. Scientific descriptions are typically more accurate and precise than causal ones. It focuses on expanding knowledge on current issues through process of data collection. Descriptive research describes the behavior of a sample population. Only one variable is required to conduct the study. The three primary purposes of descriptive studies are describing, explaining, and validating the findings. Lastly, explanation. It involves answering the question of what, where, when, and how. Explanatory studies answer questions of why. Causal or explanatory research is conducted to understand the impact of specific changes in existing standard procedures. Running experiments is the most popular form. Next, these are the characteristics of a research: empirical, logical, cyclical, analytical, critical, methodical, and replicability. In empirical, research is based on direct experience or observation by the researcher and experimentation on theories. Systematic or logical, the research is based on valid procedures and principles, follows orderly and sequential procedure. Cyclical, research is a cyclical process because it starts with a problem and ends with a problem. Next, analytical. Research utilizes proven analytical procedures in gathering the data, whether historical, descriptive, experimental, and case study. There is a critical analysis of all data used so that there is no error in their interpretation. Next, critical. The research is exhibits carefully and precise judgment. Methodical. Research is conducted in a methodical manner without bias, using systematic method and procedures. Lastly, replicability. The research design and procedures are replicated or repeated to enable the researcher to arrive at valid and conclusive results. These are the parts and the structure of a research paper: introduction, review of related literature, methodology, results, and summary. Research paper always starts with the title page that mentions the author's name, topic, year published, and all other relevant data. Abstract. Not every educational paper requires an abstract. However, for longer, more complex papers, abstract are particularly useful. Often only 100 to 300 words, the abstract generally provides a broad overview and is never more than a page. It describes the essence, the main theme of the paper. It includes the research questions posed, its significance, the methodology, and the main results or findings. Footnotes or cited works are never listed in an abstract. Introduction and statement of problem. A good introduction states the main research problem and the thesis argument. What precisely are they studying and why is it important? How original it is? Will it fill a gap in other studies? The limitation of studies. Indicate as soon as possible what you intend to do and what you are not going to attempt. You may limit the scope of your paper by any number of factors. For example, the time, personnel, gender, age, geographic location, nationality, and so on. Next, review of related literature. It is a comprehensive summary of previous research on a topic. It surveys scholarly the articles, the books, and the other sources relevant to a particular area of the research. The review should enumerate, describe, summarize, objectively evaluate, and clarify this previous research. It also gives a theoretical base for the research and help you or the author determine the nature of your research. It also acknowledges the works of previous researchers, and in so doing, it assures the reader that your work has been well conceived. It is assumed by that mentioning a previous work in the field of study that the author has been read, evaluated, and assimilated that work into the work at hand. Next part of a research is the methodology. Research methodology refers to the discussion regarding the specific methods chosen and used in a research paper. This discussion also encompasses the theoretical concepts that further provide information about the method selection and application. It also answers the question, did you employ qualitative or quantitative research methods? Did you administer a questionnaire or interview people? Any field research conducted? How did you collect data? Did you utilize other libraries or archive? And so on. Next is the presentation of data, analysis of data. The purpose of this chapter is to summarize the collected data and the statistical treatment and or mechanics of analysis. Explain the object of each experiment, question, or objective. Point out salient result and present those results by table, figure, or other form of summarized data. Lastly, the summary, the conclusions, and recommendations. In this chapter, it contains the research summary, conclusions, and recommendations of the whole study. The findings of the study without so much detailed information is written on the summary. Generalizations and other interferences would be seen on the conclusions, while the recommendations of the researchers of the beneficiaries of this study can also be seen on this chapter. Generally, this chapter aims to cover up the end result of the study. This is the end of my topic. Thank you.
Okay, so again, when it comes to the publishable, no? So the process of moving from idea to published manuscript can be a daunting one, no? So there are a lot of steps, no? A series of steps. No? Design make to essential tasks more manageable. So of course, number one, of course, in a publishable manuscript, we need to determine the authors, no? So when designing a research project, we recommend preparing an initial list and order of authors, such as a list of authors should be based on established guidelines and should make explicit the estimated contribution of each individual to the project. Number two, start writing before the experiments are complete. No? Because start writing while you are still doing the experiments, writing often evokes new ideas. And you may realize that there are additional experiments to run or additional controls that you need to add. So if you wait until you are done in the lab, have them dismantle the equipment and possibly move on to the another positions, and you will not have the opportunity to test these ideas. Another is decide it is time to publish. No, it is time to publish when you are finding represent a complete story. No, one that will make a significant contribution to the scientific literature. Simply collecting a given amount of data is not adequate. Number 4, draft a title and abstract. No, drafting a working title and an abstract helps define the content of the paper, identifying which experiment you will publish in this paper and which studies you will save for inclusion in another paper. As what our presenter re-examine the list of authors. No, when you have now determined which experiment will be included in this paper, you must select the authors in the other in order in which they will appear. No, don't forget also to determine the basic formats. No, there are 3 basic formats for peer-reviewed research articles: full-length research articles, no, considering the MRAD, no, introduction, methods, results, and discussions. This article contains a comprehensive investigation of the subject matter and are viewed as the standard format. Again, the MRAD format. Number 2, of course, is the short or brief communications. So while not as comprehensive in scope as full-length research articles, these papers also make a significant contribution to the literature. So their length will be set by the journal, but it is usually 3,500 words or less and will contain up to 2 tables and figures. So unlike full papers, methods, results, and discussion may be combined into a single section. Another is the rapid communication. And this article quickly disseminate particularly hot findings, usually in brief communications format, because articles that have immediate implication for public health, for example, would be appropriate for such a format as might finding in a highly competitive and quickly moving field. Select the journal. No? There are several factors to consider when choosing a journal. It is unlikely that one journal will have all features you are looking for. So you may have to compromise. However, this is one essential feature you should not compromise on. No? Manuscript must be peer-reviewed for publication if they are to be considered research articles. So what are the considerations? The language. No? English has become the dominant form of the international scientific communications. Focus. No? What type of research does the journal publish? So since you are a business student, so therefore we are looking for a business journal. No? Indexing, no, in a journal index, it is a major electronic database such as Medline, biological abstract, chemical abstract, in current contents. The availability, no, because maybe it is also important for us to, is the journal broadly available? Is there an online version of the journal, or are papers provided in PDF format? And another thing is the reputations of the journal. Although no, it can be a rather subjective, there are several ways to gauge the reputations of a journal. No? Ask colleagues which journal they respect and look at recent articles and judge their importance. Check the members of the editorial board and determine if they are leaders in the field. You need also to determine the journal's impact factor. No? It is also important. And try to find out the acceptance rate of the journal. For example, submission 100, accepted 99. So there's something wrong. Okay. Another is the format. Do you like the appearance of published articles? Okay. Figures. Do figures published in the journal have the resolutions that you need? And the next one, of course, is the charges. Because some journal bills the author for page charges, a cost per final printed page. Okay. So once you decide on a journal, obtain and read the journal's instruction to authors. This document describes the format for your article and provides information on how to submit your manuscript. You can usually obtain a copy of the journal's instruction to authors on its website or in the first issue of a new volume. Another, of course, is stock the sections of your paper. So as you think about your paper, store relevant material in folders marked introduction, methods, results, and discussions. The MRAD, I mean. No, this will save time and avoid frustration when the writing begins. Stored items might include figures, references, and ideas. Another is construct the tables, figures, and legends. Yes, no? Create figures and titles before the writing begins. The entire paper should be organized around the data you will present. So by preparing the tables and figures, you will be certain of your results before you worry too much about their interpretations. Outline the paper. No? An outline is like a roadmap. So an outline details how you will get from here to there and helps ensure that you take the most direct and logical route. Do not start writing without it. If you have co-authors, you may wish to get feedback from them before you proceed to the actual writing phase. And if you have stuck your sections, those files should be useful here and in the writing that follows. And write the first draft. No? Write the first draft of the entire manuscript. If you are writing with co-authors, you may wish to assign different aspects to the manuscript to different authors. And this can save time. Allow the individuals to feel that are making substantive contributions to the writing process and ensure the best use of expertise. However, it also can lead to a mixture of styles. Thus, if you take this approach, be certain that the final product is carefully edited to provide a single voice. No? Because some people recommended that you begin your writing with the introduction and continue through in order each section of the paper. This can help ensure flow. However, others suggest that you start whenever you wish. Anything to get rid of the blank screen or piece of paper. Whatever your approach, heed the advice of some good authors. No? So if you try to write and edit at the same time, you will do neither well. And because editing is often a lot easier than writing, push through this step as quickly as possible. So if you're taking much more than 2 full days, you have probably paused to edit. Ako personally, me personally, I'm always prepared to read a lot of literature and studies before I start doing my research. It helps a lot actually. That is my this will be my personal experience as a researcher. Number 12 is revise the manuscript. This step involves 3 major tasks. It's to be carried out in the order. Number 1, make major alterations. Fill in gaps, correct flows in logic, restructure the document to present the material in the most logical order. Number 2, polish the style. Refine the text, then correct grammar and spelling. Number 3, format the document. Make your manuscript attractive and easy to read. It is important to do the task in the stated order. Otherwise, you may find yourself spending a lot of time revising material that you later delete. Another, it is important, check the references. Make sure, again, ensure that the citations are correct and complete. Do one last literature search to make certain that you are up to date. Okay? Another is write the final title and abstract. Many changes are made during the editing process. Make certain that your title and abstract match the final version of your article. Read the journal's instruction to authors. Don't forget. Prepare the final illustration. Ensure that your table, figures, and figure legends are complete, clear, self-contained, and in the format required by the journal. Do not allow any chance for misunderstanding. Then get feedback on your manuscript and then revise your manuscript again. Because getting feedback is one of the most important things that you can do to improve your article. First, be sure your co-authors have had a chance to read and comment on the draft. Then, when it is ready, give the manuscript to some colleagues. Indicate when you would like to receive their comments and what levels of information you would like. So after you get their comments, revise your manuscript to address their concerns. And do not submit your manuscript until you feel it is ready for publication. Once it is accepted, further changes in your manuscript will be difficult and may also be costly actually, especially for publications. So it is also advisable, especially for me, I am an IT practitioner. I am not totally good actually in grammar. So submit the manuscript to the editor. It is very important. If you are not in line with English, with grammar, it is advisable. Then deal with reviewers' comment. Because most manuscripts are not accepted on the first submission. However, you may well be invited to resubmit a revised manuscript. So if you choose to do so, you will need to respond to the reviewer comment. or comments. Do this with tact. No? Answer every concerns of the reviewers and indicate where the corresponding changes were made in the manuscript if they were indeed made. No, you do not need to make all of the changes that the reviewer recommended, but you do need to provide a convincing rationale for any changes that you did not make. So when you resubmit the manuscript, indicate in your cover letter that this is a revised version. So an alternative is to submit the manuscript to another journal. However, if you do so, it may still be best to take the reviewer comments into consideration. Even if you feel that the reviewers have misunderstood something in your paper, others might do the same. So of course, if you submit to another journal, you probably will need to modify the format. And please note, you may not submit your manuscript to more than one journal at a time. Check the proofs. No? Once the manuscript is accepted and provided for print, the publisher will send the corresponding author page proofs of the article. And this may be accompanied by a list of queries, such as missing information regarding a reference. So the proofs may be sent via email or has hard copy. So if there's a chance that you will be away with the proofs arrive, have a plan for making certain that they are received and you are notified. And you may only have sometimes, 24 to 48 hours to return the proofs. Carefully correct any typos and factual errors and read the manuscript for clarity. This is your last chance. However, try to limit changes to editorial queries plus minor modifications. If you think anything more major is required, you must first get permission from the journal editor and be prepared for additional costs and publication delays. And of course, right after, celebrate. No? Because actually, especially in international, it's too hard for us to publish. It's too easy for us to present. But in publishing your research in the Scopus index, it's too hard. So right after, you must celebrate. I think that's it.